Sri Aurobindo has been telling us how 𝐒𝐲𝐈𝐑𝐈, as a result of that transformative experience which he received earlier in the canto, is now able to discern a secret nature. That's not this prakriti, this earthly surface nature that we see, that we think of as nature. It's also not the divine nature. It's something secret in between. And he will learn more about it. So Sri Aurobindo told us that there's the Creator who has made all this creation in his magic way. But there's also this secret nature. She seems to want to make her own creation according to her own ways. And her means, her magic wand by which she achieves this enchantment, it is mind. And now he's going to tell us about how mind works. Mind is a mediator divinity. Its powers can undo all nature's work. Mind can suspend or change earth's concrete law. Affranchised from earth habit's drowsy seal, the leaden grip of matter it can break. Indifferent to the angry stare of death, it can immortalise a moment's work. A simple fiat of its thinking force, the casual pressure of its slight assent, can liberate the energy dumb and pent within its chambers of mysterious trance. It makes the body's sleep a puissant arm, holds still the breath, the beatings of the heart, while the unseen is found, the impossible done. Communicates without means the unspoken thought. It moves events by its bare, silent will, acts at a distance without hands or feet. This giant ignorance, this dwarfish life, it can illumine with a prophet sight, invoke the Bacchic rapture, the fury's goad, in our body arouse the demon or the god. Call in the omniscient and omnipotent. Awake a forgotten almightiness within. In its own plane, a shining emperor, even in this rigid realm, mind can be king. The logic of its demigod idea in the leap of a transitional moment brings surprises of creation never achieved even by matter's strange, unconscious skill. All's miracle here, and can by miracle change. This is that secret nature's edge of might. On the margin of great immaterial plains, in kingdoms of an untrammeled glory of force, where mind is master of the life and form, and soul fulfills its thoughts by its own power, she meditates upon mighty words and looks on the unseen links that join the parted spheres. Thence, to the initiate who observes her laws, she brings the light of her mysterious realms. Here where he stands, his feet on a prostrate world, his mind no more cast into matter's mould, over their bounds, in spurts of splendid strength, she carries their magician processes and the formulas of their stupendous speech, till heaven and hell become purveyors to earth, and the universe the slave of mortal will. You like to start? We go back to line 381 and just read one sentence.
Mind is a mediator divinity. Its powers can undo all nature's work. Mind can suspend and change Earth's concrete law.
Thank you. A mediator. When we have some kind of quarrel, we would call on a mediator, or there's some big business deal to be done. We'll have some kind of go-between. So it means somebody who's working in between things that are not easy to bring together. Mind is like that, Sri Aurobindo says. Mind is a mediator divinity. It's a divine power, and it can work between different powers. He's going to explain that. Its powers, the powers of mind, are able to undo all nature's work. That's nature in the sense of the laws of physics of this material world. Mind can suspend, can set aside for a little while, or even completely change Earth's concrete law, the laws of physics, the laws of matter. We are so convinced by these laws of physics, no? We don't believe that they can be changed. But Sri Aurobindo is telling us that by the power of mind, they can be suspended or even changed. Berbel.
Affranchised from earth's habits, drowsy zeal, the leaden whip of matter it can break, indifferent to the endly stare of death. It can immortalise a moment's work, simply fired of its sinking force, casual pressure of its light assent, can liberate the energy dumb and pent within its chambers of mysterious trance. It makes the body sleep, the Persian arm hold still the breeze, the beating of the heart, while the unseen is found, the impossible done, communicates without means the unspoken thought, that moves events by its bare, silent will, acts at a distance without hands or feet.
Thank you. So if mind is affranchised, if it's set free, liberated from earth habit's drowsy seal, it's as if there's some kind of habit that we are born into, and we are born into these physical bodies, which keeps us in a kind of sleepy state, doesn't let us wake up fully. No? But if the mind power can be set free from that habit, that drowsy sleep, then it has the power to break the leaden grip of matter. It doesn't need to be controlled or subservient to matter. It doesn't need to obey the laws of physics anymore. Mind can be indifferent to the angry stare of death, because death is something that happens to physical bodies. They deteriorate and they decay and they dissolve. Then the soul or the inner consciousness has to leave that body, that material body. But mind is not like that. Mind can move from body to body. And because it is free of that leaden grip of matter, he says, it can immortalize a moment's work. In a minute, the mind can achieve something that will never die, whose consequences will last and last and last. A simple fiat of its thinking force. This word fiat is from Latin, and it means let it be. The Sanskrit alternative is tathastu. Yes. So if the mind says tathastu, fiat, let it be like that, if the mind's thinking force can make that command, or even if it only gives a casual pressure of its slight assent, it just like that, without too much intention, just says, okay, let it be like that. The casual pressure of its slight assent can liberate, can set free the energy, the dumb energy, the energy that can't express itself in words or sounds, that is pent up, imprisoned in matter, no? Within matter's chambers of mysterious trance. All matter is actually packed full of energy. No? It is energy compressed, energy in a state of dense concentration. That's what matter is. So the mind can liberate that imprisoned energy. The power of mind can make use of the sleep of the physical body as a tool, a puissant arm, a powerful weapon even. No? It can hold still the breath and the beatings of the heart, while the unseen is found, while the mind, the consciousness goes exploring and finds invisible things or does impossible things, things that wouldn't be possible to the waking body. It can communicate, the mind power can communicate without any telephones or internets or wireless or anything, communicates without means. The unspoken thought, the word that hasn't been put into words, not written down, but it can be communicated directly from mind to mind or transmitted by a mind to some other receptor. No? It moves events by its bare, silent will. The adept can sit silently in his room and know what is going on in different parts of the world and send out his mind force, his will, and change the course of events. It can act at a distance, doesn't need to use the body, doesn't need to use hands or feet. So this power of the mind has been known by humanity since prehistoric times, I think. But nowadays we find it very difficult to believe in it. We are so practical and we are so much identified with our bodies, and it's difficult to believe. But even the Victorians, even 150 years ago, some of them believed in the power of mind over matter that you could control. And this power of mind over matter is the whole basis of the science that is called occultism. There's physical science, they have their own sets of rules, but in just as systematic a way, just as reliable a way, trained occultists can use mind power to make things happen.
Is there a difference in this term of mind power towards this term of soul force, which is used sometimes?
There's definitely a difference. Mind power is different from soul force. Yes.
What's the difference? I mean, not in the language, but in the meaning.
Mind. Here he says mind for this power which he's talking about now. Mind is her wand, her magic wand. Soul power, soul force is another kind of power and works with a different set of rules. And Asvapati hasn't taken that up yet. But now he's meeting this power which is lies behind the science of occultism. It's a mediator divinity between the physical and the soul. It operates in the space in between, the consciousness in between.
I have a view, can I share?
Sorry?
I have a view on this perspective, can I share? On the mind and soul.
Sorry, I'm not hearing you properly.
Can I share the view, what I got?
Yes, yes, please.
Is my understanding, if my understanding is correct. Mind is a creative being. And while soul is a tool to illuminate the mind with the knowledge from the ignorance. So it is a creative tool which creates the existence, a conscious existence, mind, through mind, where soul will act as a radiance like a diamond, like illuminating the mind by giving the knowledge necessary for it, progressing from the ignorance.
Yes. Soul is the primary force.
Primary.
And it makes use of the body, of matter, of life, and of mind. And mind is quite a good tool for the soul, so long as the soul is the master. If it doesn't allow itself to be used by the lower powers. No? And perhaps our individual soul, when it's evolving, first of all, we read it earlier, it accepts just to follow the laws of nature. But then, as it grows and develops, it develops more consciousness, more power. That's what has happened to King Asvapati. So now he's able, first of all, to be aware of this mediator divinity and what she can do. And then he will find that without him making any effort at all, she will just surrender to him. She will give him all her powers. So this is the right way to become a great occultist. instead of doing it with your mental will, or worse still, your vital will, if you don't want it at all, simply you want to serve the divine and grow in divine consciousness, then that power will come to you by itself. And then it is not dangerous for anybody. Otherwise it can be very dangerous, especially for the one who misuses it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
In the view of Sri Aurobindo, psychic being is same to mind being?
The psychic being is the same as?
Same as or same to mind being.
The psychic being. Just now I said to this gentleman, soul is the primary force. And sometimes we speak of spirit. So these are universal powers, even beyond universal, transcendent powers. But in us, in this creation, they get individualized. So the fact that we are here now reading this book and talking to each other, there's a long history behind all this. There is time when the little divine spark, which has become now our psychic being, was just that, a tiny little spark of soul consciousness in some very primitive body that couldn't express it properly. But Sri Aurobindo tells us that in the course of physical earth evolution, the soul has been given more powers through which it can experience and grow and express itself, and eventually become master of its individual self-expression. All this is a wonderful story that has unfolded over eons, that we have started. I've told it many times, but I'll tell it again. One of Mother's disciples told her once, he said, "Mother, I had a dream, or I don't know what it was. I was lying on a beach. I was a pebble. But you and Sri Aurobindo were also there on the beach. You were also pebbles, but I could feel you near me." And Mother said, "Yes, it is true." So that blessed soul had been close to Mother and Sri Aurobindo from the very material level. And how many stages the development of more and more and more complex life forms until not so very long ago, we don't know how long ago it is, these strange animals developed this new power, this power of mind. And that's a very important step forward, Sri Aurobindo says, because that gives the soul a conscious tool for working on the future, consciously participating in this divinizing work. Before we had mind, in all the earlier stages, nature had to do all the work. We could only develop as much as nature allowed us. But now we can consciously participate in our own development and growth. And actually, that's the process we call yoga. That's what yoga is. Conscious participation in further development of ourselves as an individual. But each individual progress contributes to the progress of the human race as a whole, of the creation as a whole. Miraculous story.
There's about a crab movement, a nature's movement is like crab movement in synthesis is like
Sidewise, yes. But he also speaks of a spiral. So, and a spiral can seem to go down, but it's going to go up. It's like in the mountains. if you want to reach that peak over there, you may have to go through so many valleys before you get there. So, but now he's come, it's not only that King Aswapati has become inwardly, spiritually conscious, he's become aware of this mediator divinity that is there and what she's doing. And it's rather important in the next step of the story. We're at this line, this giant ignorance. Would you read? It's line 398.
This giant ignorance, this dwarfish life, it can illumine with a prophet's sight, invoke the Bacchic rapture, the fury's goad. In our body arose the demon or the god. Call in the omniscient and omnipotent. Awake the forgotten almightiness within.
Yes. So what is this it? This is the mind power. It can illumine, it can light up this little life that we are living. We may be quite satisfied with it and think that the human life has made great achievements, but Sri Aurobindo says it's dwarfish, tiny little life. But by this power of mind, it can be illumined with a prophet sight, a sight that can see into the future, a sight that can have divine illuminations. It can invoke even contrasting things. It can call in different states of consciousness. The Bacchic rapture. This word Bacchic comes from the name of the Roman god of wine, Bacchus. But symbolically, we see artworks, old paintings of the riotous orgies of Bacchus and his worshippers. But the Bacchic rapture, it's the divine intoxication. But also the Furies' goad. Furies were terrible creatures in ancient Greek mythology. Vengeful Furies, vengeful beings that would come and punish anybody who violates the cosmic laws. And a goad, you goad a bullock or an elephant or a horse to make them go faster. What those Furies did, once they had seized on some victim, on some person that they were supposed to punish, they wouldn't let that person rest at all. He would be never at peace, never have any respite. So this mind power, it can call in these possibilities. It can also call in the omniscient, the all-knowing, the divine, the all-powerful. And above all, it can wake up within us a forgotten almightiness. We are not at all aware that we are carrying this omnipotence within us. So then he's going to speak more generally about mind, Kanyapan.
In its own plane, the shining emperor, even in this rigid realm, mind can be king. The logic of its demigod idea, the leap of a transitional moment, brings surprises of creation never achieved even by matter's strange unconscious skill.
You can read the next line also.
All's miracle here, uncan by miracle change.
This is one of those great lines which we can remember now. So in its own plane, on the plane of pure mind, which we will read about later, there mind is the ruler, a shining emperor. But even here in our world, in this rigid realm which is held in the grip of matter, even here, mind can be king. Mind can have power over matter. And he says in which way the logic of its demigod idea in the leap of a transitional moment brings surprises of creation never achieved even by matter's strange, unconscious skill. This is a different kind of logic. This is not the logic of the reason. This is the logic of the demigod idea. It's not the full divine idea. It's not the full creative idea. It's something halfway at the level of this mediator divinity. But it is creative. It has creative ideas. Idea with a capital I. And that can work very quickly. In the leap of a transitional moment, it can bring about, it can bring into existence surprises of creation that have never been achieved, even by this strange, unconscious skill of matter that has brought all these marvels into existence. So Sri Aurobindo tells us everything, all is miracle here. Everything is miraculous. It all looks common and ordinary to us. We are so used to the way things are. And that's part of what binds us. We don't realize that everything is miraculous. And everything can be changed miraculously. What is a miracle? What are you going to ask?
I want to ask what is the idea, the concept of the idea.
An idea, yeah. If you are a creative person, the way in which your creativity comes to you will be, first of all, in the form of an idea or a concept. You will conceive some possibility. That's the first stage, that's the first way in which it appears. Even if you think it's impossible, you've conceived it, so it's not impossible. It can be realized if you can find out how to do it. But if you've never thought of it, then it's impossible for the time being. It's the first way in which a creative possibility takes some kind of form. And then you work, then the will comes in. The will says, yes, this has to be done. That's exactly what has happened to King Aswapati. A hope, a will immense now seized his heart. A whole new possibility opens up in front of him. And then he dedicates his entire will and energy to achieving that thing. And that has brought him to where he is now. He has a lot further to go, at least halfway through the book. But finally, that thing which he has envisaged will be realized.
Is it mainly connected to the mind level?
Yes, it's the highest level of mind, I think, the idea of creation.
I think I read in the Cities of Yoga, it's a super mind, also creating by outpouring ideas.
Ideas with small eyes, but the supermind realm itself, it seems to be the realm of idea with capital I.
Okay.
But that's going into too much technicalities of philosophy at the moment. But here he's saying that this is a demigod idea. It's not the fully powerful idea of that original realm. Yes, it is a demigod idea. But still it's very powerful. It can bring about all kinds of astonishing new things. No? Ganga Lakshmi.
This is that sacred nature edge of mind. On the margin of great immaterial plans and kingdoms of untrammelled glory of force, where mind is master of the life and form, and soul fulfills its thoughts by its own power. She meditates upon mighty words and looks on the unseen links that join the parted spheres.
So we go back to that secret nature that King Ashwapati is seeing now, and this fact of what mind can do, and that all is miracle here and can by miracle change. This is that secret nature's edge of might. It's like the sharp edge of her weapon. That's what she uses to win her victories. We could just discuss about what is a miracle, because Mother has said something very interesting about it. What is a miracle? She says a miracle is when, for example, on the physical plane, if I drop this, it'll fall. That's the laws of physics. It will happen. But if some higher consciousness, such as my will, stops it, it won't fall. So what is a miracle is when there's an intervention from a higher level of consciousness, which changes the way things happen on a lower level. So everything's miracle here. Actually, there's a higher consciousness at work in everything. And if we can access that higher state of consciousness, things can be changed. All's miracle here, and can by miracle change. But you can't cheat. You have to achieve that higher consciousness.
But Shraddhavan, also Mother Imajanda, she said miracles don't exist. Everything is there, but mediator.
Yeah, but that's exactly what this explanation means. We think something is miraculous, you know, but it's not like that. There are hierarchical laws, and those laws work. And to us little physical beings, something happens, and it looks miraculous and impossible, but it happens. But it happens according to conscious choices, or conscious rules or habits that are established on all these different planes. So in that sense, it's not miraculous. It's just like that. So, but the way that she works now, this secret nature, she's working on the edges, on the margins, the borderlines of great immaterial planes. So it means the subtle planes, the planes of subtle matter, of life, of mind, all the different levels. We saw those 13 levels, no? In Mother's map. So she's working on the margins, on the borderlines of those planes. She's working in kingdoms of an untrammeled glory of force. Untrammeled means without any restrictions. So on the margin of those great immaterial planes and in those kingdoms of force, where mind is master of the life and form. It's not subject to the life and the form like we are here. In those kingdoms, soul is free. It fulfills its thoughts by its own powers, directly, without having to use the intermediaries of matter and life and mind. She, that secret nature, she meditates, she focuses on powerful words. And she looks, she can see the unseen links that join the parted spheres. We can think of the lower sphere, which is the worlds we are familiar with, and the upper sphere. But perhaps all these planes are in a way spheres, perfect in themselves. They seem to be separate and have their own powers and laws, but they are linked, and she can see these links.
Mighty words are they the mantras? Can you call it mantras?
I suppose mantras are definitely mighty words, yes. But in occultism also there are powerful formulas, certain words that have powers. And the tantrics use different seed sounds and so on, things like that, yes. Sebastian, please. Events, yes.
Thence to initiate, who observes her laws. She brings the light, the mysterious realms. Here, where he stands, his feet on a prostrate world, his mind no more cast into matters moved. Over their bounds, in spurts of splendid strength, she carries their magician processes and the formulas of their stupendous speech, till heaven and hell become purveyors to earth, and the universe the slave of mortal will.
So let's look at this. Thence, it means from there, from those margins of immaterial worlds and those kingdoms where mind is master and soul can fulfill its work. From those planes, she brings to here, to the initiate, the one who has the knowledge and who observes her laws, the laws of this secret nature. She brings to him, she brings him the light of her mysterious realms. That means that here, where he stands, here on our earth, his feet on this prostrate world, so long as his mind is no longer cast into matter's mold. A mold, you pour in wax to make a candle, or you pour in bronze to make a statue. But when the mold is broken, then the thing is set. The candle is set. So our minds get cast into particular molds. Normally they're cast into the mold of matter. We think that we're dependent on a material brain, and that this is what does the thinking. But the initiate knows that it's not like that. His mind is no longer cast into matter's mold. So she can bring to him over the boundaries of those other worlds. It comes in like spurts, jets of splendid strength, marvelous force comes to him. She carries the magician processes that belong to those other worlds. She brings him the formulas, the spells, the enchantments, the mantras of the stupendous speech of those immaterial realms. And she brings him all these riches until heaven and hell become purveyors to earth. A purveyor is somebody who supplies you things. In England, if you make boiled sweets long enough and the Queen gets some, then she will give you the right to put it on your label that you are purveyor of sweets to the Queen, a purveyor, a supplier. Heaven and hell, it means the heights and the depths, they become the servants and suppliers of earth. And the whole universe can become the slave of mortal will, of the will of human beings, subject to death and ignorance. But they can become, through her mediation, much more powerful than that. It's not easy, is it? I think we'll stop there for today. Mind is a mediator divinity. Its powers can undo all nature's work. Mind can suspend or change earth's concrete law. Affranchised from earth habit's drowsy seal, the leaden grip of matter it can break. Indifferent to the angry stare of death, it can immortalise a moment's work. A simple fiat of its thinking force, the casual pressure of its slight assent, can liberate the energy dumb and pent within its chambers of mysterious trance. It makes the body's sleep a puissant arm, holds still the breath, the beatings of the heart, while the unseen is found, the impossible done. Communicates without means the unspoken thought. It moves events by its bare silent will, acts at a distance without hands or feet. This giant ignorance, this dwarfish life, it can illumine with a prophet's sight, invoke the Bacchic rapture, the Furies' goad, in our body arouse the demon or the god, call in the omniscient and omnipotent, awake a forgotten almightiness within. In its own plane, a shining emperor, Even in this rigid realm, mind can be king. The logic of its demigod idea in the leap of a transitional moment brings surprises of creation never achieved even by matter's strange unconscious skill. All's miracle here, and can by miracle change. This is that secret nature's edge of might. On the margin of great immaterial plains, in kingdoms of an untrammeled glory of force, where mind is master of the life and form, and soul fulfills its thoughts by its own power, she meditates upon mighty words and looks on the unseen links that join the parted spheres. Thence, to the initiate who observes her laws, she brings the light of her mysterious realms. Here where he stands, his feet on a prostrate world, his mind no more cast into matter's mould. Over their bounds, in spurts of splendid strength, she carries their magician processes and the formulas of their stupendous speech, till heaven and hell become purveyors to earth, and the universe the slave of mortal will.